You probably love scrolling through photos of beautiful new homes on Instagram, or maybe checking out those pretty houses at the home show. It's fun to dream, right? But building is one of those projects that comes with seriously high pressure. After all, how many times do you get that chance, right? You could say my first guest has a few more chances than most as she coaches clients through the process. Her designer notebook holds a running list of what to do, and in some cases, what not to do. And today we're peeking in at the pages. Lauren Oviatt is here to help us build with no regrets. Oh my gosh, that's a good sentence. I've built recently, you've built recently. Is there ever such thing as a totally regret-free build?
No, I think there's always things, and Pinterest doesn't help. There's always things that you're going to say, oh, okay, well, gosh, I wish I would have known that. But you know what? I think there are some really key strategies that you can employ just for that peace of mind. With so many of my clients, that is what they struggle with. They stay up at night thinking about things that they've missed, or they don't know what they've missed. So
in many cases, that's why they hire you, right? Is to give you that overarching peace of mind. And you say even if building a home isn't in your near future, it's good to think, dream, and even plan. Absolutely. Everyone should have a dream journal, and that should be like just for things generally in life. But if there are ideas and tips and different color palettes that you love together, then you should store those things because it really cuts out on that stress once it is crunch time. What's your first big piece of advice? Okay, my first big piece. This, if you don't remember anything else, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Listen here. Okay, pick a style and stick with it. So if the exterior of your home is Craftsman, or French, or modern, or farmhouse, whatever it is that you love, you gotta stick with it, okay? So try to get those historical details and those really period accurate accents and finish things. Those need to carry through the home. So what we're gonna show you is an exterior that matches an interior. It's like, you know, the matching game, but I think it's really good for people that are visiting your home. So you want that flow, that continuous good feeling to come throughout the house. And the other thing it's really good for is resale. I think a lot of times people try to update and fix things to the way they want to live now, but you always have to listen to what the architecture and style of the home is telling you. So I would think if I like a Craftsman home, for example, on the exterior, I would be naturally drawn to those details on the interior. Is that not always the case? No, I think it's true, but I think people get a little bit harebrained, like thinking, well, the outside can look like this, but inside I really want to use like crystal and, you know, modern things and really sleek things. And then that feel, that sensation is really jarring for people who are visiting you, and it kind of breaks up that flow that you're really trying to achieve. And you might not even realize it in the planning stages until you actually get into the home and start to sense that, I like the word jarring, I will sense that kind of disruption. Getting even more specific though on picking a style, you say to make sure you establish a finish range. What does that mean? So the finish package that I help clients achieve is like your plumbing fixtures, your cabinet hardware, different colors that you want to see in the house for flooring, for wall color, all these different elements that come together. So it's important to establish that at first, because when you go to, let's say, do your master bathroom, and bathrooms are the trickiest part, but you go to each room and you kind of want it to feel new, but again, we don't want anything to be jarring, like, oh, well, this is all country, but then she's got this bathroom that's, you know, very French or modern or something like that. Okay, so wait, does your hardware then have to match bathroom to bathroom? So this finish package can include 3 different cabinet styles or 3 different cabinet hardware finishes. So if it's black, bronze, and silver, that's where you're staying. And if your paint colors are grays and blues and kind of a charcoal color, that's where you stay. So we've talked about it before. It's like putting all of those finishes in a big bag, and every time you get to a new room, you roll it out in a new way. So you have new combinations, but you're not changing the overall scheme and palette of the house, which does help to create that flow. So 3 is a good number then, in the sense of color and pattern and finish. I think a lot of people, probably most people, stress the most about the floor plan. We hear build a house with good bones, and that to me is the heaviest pressure, or it was when I was building a home. What should we keep in mind when designing or selecting that floor plan? So if you have existing pieces that you're taking with you, make sure that you can fit those where you want them in the house. Furniture pieces. Yes, furniture pieces. So make sure that in your bedrooms, you have a queen or a king size bed where you need it. In your entry, you have room for that great table that you always wanted to have in your entry to make that statement. Make sure that there's flow and there's movement around your furniture pieces. So yes, if you have a little space planning tool, take and cut pieces of furniture that you can move around on top of your floor plan. This is what keeps my clients up at night, because they're sitting there thinking, I don't know how much space I have. Am I going to have room to use the things that I love and really achieve the look that you want to achieve? That's where the thoughtfulness comes in. That's where I think you would be so skilled to have you as a design friend in our ear. But taking those pieces and working around them as opposed to just shoving them in a corner or trying to make them work. You know you're going to want to use that buffet table or that sofa, so why not then build around them?
That's exactly right.
That's a good piece of advice. What are some other high priority pieces that we should consider when building a new home?
So I think you really have to think about the lighting and the HVAC in your home. So your HVAC people, this is your heating and cooling, okay? They don't care where your ductwork goes. So if you end up with a basement that has ducts running through it.
We learned this the hard way.
I know, it's so hard. It's like heartbreaking. It really is like an emotional part of this process. But think about where those fur downs, they call them fur downs, think about where they go ahead of time. So if you need to create a ceiling that's just a little bit taller, or if your floor joists can run a certain way so that those air ducts can hide, that is so important. Coffered ceilings, beam work, interesting kind of tray ceilings can help to hide those things. So that is really important because aesthetically, you're the one that's going to be living there. You're going to be looking up and noticing all these things that you missed. And along with that is lighting. So if you can keep to perimeter lighting instead of doing the Swiss cheese thing with just rows of cans everywhere, that is really, it makes a difference.
Can lights, you work the perimeter.
Work the perimeter, and I like to use a smaller can. So standard is a 6-inch. I like to see a 4-inch can just because it helps to pin spot and really highlight the shape and the scope of the room. But we always talk about the fun of decorative lighting. So chandeliers and floor lamps and table lamps and sconces, those are the lights that you really want to have on. But the perimeter lighting and the can lighting, planning it is very important.
I'm going to say a word that isn't fun, but it's a huge part of your job, and it's a reality when you're building a house, and that is budget. Everybody goes in with this budget, and you're stuck to that number, and in most cases, you're bound to that number. Any tips for keeping us on budget when you're taking on a big project you want to get right, like a home build?
I know. Well, most people think, oh, it's going to be so expensive. Everything has to be nice. If I pick one thing that's nice, everything has to flow, and that's not the case. I think you have to decide where you want to spend your money. Where I tell my clients to spend their money is in the finish work, like molding, architectural details like headers and columns and beautiful trimmed ceilings. Wood floors are always worth the investment because they really never date and they can be refinished and they're always beautiful. With things like porcelain tile in your bathrooms or quartz countertops in your bathrooms, there are places to splurge and save. So with my help, and if you have the help of a designer, they can help you too. Like we talked about, take your finished palette, the palette of color that you're using throughout the home, and really shop high and shop low.
Where do you save?
I save on flooring in bathrooms. So really good looking porcelain floors, really good looking, interesting backsplashes for showers and even plumbing. There are different companies you can shop to get the same finish. Let's say it's polished nickel. It can be 3 times as expensive with one company and this really great price point with another.
So be smart about it. Also you say, and finally, be smart about storage.
Absolutely. So think about where you need storage, because what closets and these really bulky storage parts of the home will do is cut down on your square footage. And if you're trying to maximize that idea in your home, think about ways to tuck in things that you need. I mean, personally, I think we're all trying to live with less these days. So tuck it into a wall, try to create multi-purpose storage for laundry rooms, put your linens in the bathroom. I think that gone are the days of these giant cold storage, huge spaces, because we want to live, we want to maximize the square footage to enjoy. Hide your storage.
All right, great advice, and tuck this advice away. You can bookmark it on our website if you want. And while we're talking exciting and valuable advice, you've got some great news that we are just celebrating.
Yeah, so I'm launching a new website.
It's about time.
And you can find me at laurenoviatt.com and on Instagram, which is where I'm sharing daily the things that I love and kind of what's inspiring me.
Oh my gosh, we're celebrating. She's a woman you want to follow with impeccable style, a great brand that we'll keep our eye on for sure. Thank you so much, my friend.